afternoon. My name is Alun R. I use the pronouns he, him, and today I'm facilitating the fourth of 4 sessions of Achtung, Cthulhu Dark. This is my drift to Cthulhu Dark to allow play in an espionage World War II environment, settings like Achtung Cthulhu and World War Cthulhu. This is being run as part of the Guantlet Hangouts. If you don't know about the Gauntlet, type the Gauntlet RPG and you will find the community. It's a great community playing games online from around the world, and you get to meet really great players like these that I'm playing with today. So let me start in terms of the character keeper. Can I start? Paul, would you like to introduce yourself and just say hello on behalf of Wilbur Strauss?
Hello, I'm Paul, he, him, and I'm playing the Cockney Wilbur Strauss.
The tough NCO, and I think we all appreciate Paul's effort today. Credit. Will, you're next on the character keeper.
Hi, I'm Will, and I'm playing the educated advisor Arthur Blake, who may know a little bit more about this magic stuff than the rest of everybody else.
Thank you for that. Then Gerrit, introduce yourself, and Adriana.
I'm Gerrit, he, him, from Germany, and I play Adriana Carnap, who is from Vienna and a skilled analyst.
And she has been busy analysing stuff. She's returning to the fray today, having been in London during the last session. And finally, Pearl, say hello and introduce us to Eglantine. You are muted, Pearl.
I know. My computer's just being exceptionally slow today. I apologize. I am Pearl. I use she, her pronouns. I am playing Eglantine. Only I can't seem to get my thing to scroll and therefore don't know my own last name, which is embarrassing. Although kind of amusing, I suppose. Chatfield. That's right. I'm the covert operative. Used to be an actress and I have a degree in semiotics, and somehow I ended up in the war, and things have been interesting lately.
There's no question how you ended up in the war. You have conned your way across northern France and occupied Belgium with some verve, Eglantine.
That is true, actually. Yes.
Just to say,
feigned necrophilia.
Just to say, we are playing with lines and veils. The players know where those are in the character keeper. We agreed those last time and the time before that. We are also playing with the Gauntlet's inclusivity policy. We're running an open door, which means that if something comes up, people just walk away. There's no kind of 3-line whip that keeps you at the table, the virtual table. And our principal safety tool is the X card, which any player can play if and when they find some of the material gets a little bit disturbing, or maybe they discover something in play that they wish they'd veiled or drew a line in front of in the original setup. And there's no, if you have not X-carded something previously and on thinking about it, you think, actually, that I'm not very comfortable with that. Do not feel you cannot then X-card it later in the game. So this is the fourth of 4 sessions. To summarize, see the previous episodes, and we're going to start in media res, I think, because I will just previously on Achtung Cthulhu Dark, the depth of the horror. Our heroes, with the exception of Adriana, are at the quayside in Newport. There they have broke into a small warehouse, which was being used by the SS, and in particular, Special Group KFW2, which is their quarry. And it appears, as the sessions have proceeded, that KFW2 are in pursuit of some kind of statue. And at the end of the last session, our heroes observed this being winched off a U-boat onto a half track to be taken, they think, to a stone circle just outside Allied lines south of Dunkirk. To do what, I'm not entirely certain they know yet, but they may tell us shortly. But one of our heroes, who is not here today, Reggie Wooster, made a dash for the half track, lobbed a satchel charge of explosive. Yeah, we all love Reggie, the action hero. Lobbed a satchel charge, set the timer, and retreated to a discreet distance while hiding in German uniform. There was then an enormous explosion. And we'll pick up, I think, from the point of that explosion. Adriana, I'll come to you in a moment. One of the things I should stress is that in this warehouse, the characters discovered some peculiar sigils carved into the wooden floor that appears to do with travel and dreams. And again, the detail of that they were uncertain of. I think it would be fair to say that they were nervous of it, and extremely nervous of the statue that was being loaded onto the half track, and felt it was better that no one have it than the Germans have it. So there is an explosion. We see Reggie retreating down the dock, presumably to rendezvous with you later, is his expectation. And I think I narrated some effects. As the explosion happened, then bits of the statue bombard the front of the warehouse. Conceivably, some of them crash, some of the stone crashes through the windows that you've been observing from into the room. And you experienced a peculiar vision of sorts. You saw out of the window, as well as a U-boat, one burning half-track and one non-burning half-track, and some various SS troops recovering or scurrying about. As well as all of that, you saw a different place. You saw these things located on a barren, dark, overcast, marshy plain, I guess I would describe it as. And that's where we cut, pretty much. I now want to go back to London 4 hours ago. Actually, not London, but Bletchley Park. Adriana, if you check out the tab in the Character Keeper that's marked Love Letter, I'll read it to you. You tell me what you do. Adriana, it's only about 36 hours since you left France with Marcel Duchamp, and he is now safe in hospital in London. You have been summoned to Bletchley Park, where Mr. Turing's team have been seeking a solution for Agatha Marsham's, that's Agent Wotan from earlier in the season, her apparently supernatural coma. But you have a brief opportunity to grab some well-earned relief from the horrors of your mission so far. What did you do? Now, this is a cue to the move Seek Relief from the Horror, Adriana. You won't need to roll the detail of that, but I would like to know which approach you took in this brief interlude in London before being summoned to Bletchley Park. Did you verbally abuse, bully, or shame someone to let the stress out? Did you beat somebody up? Did you indulge in meaningless sex? Did you confess your sins to a priest? Did you get flat out drunk? Did you try to numb your pain with morphine, laudanum, cocaine, etc.? Which of those options did you take? Oh, sorry. Or did you take time to have a gentle cup of tea with a friend?
Well, I confessed my sins to a priest, but I'm a logician. My priests are logicians. So I had to go to Sir, I think already at the time, Bertrand Russell, and confess to him what I have done, and that I have left the path of the to the occult, and have seen things which can't be seen because they are just not logical, and therefore should be put back to their space, which is non-existence. Yeah, I'm curious if these kind of things can be
respond.
Pardon?
I think that as what Burton Russell will say is Professor, I think at that point, Russell will say, my dear Adriana, as long as you can reconcile these events with a clear route to a solution to your problem, then I think perhaps things can still go well for you.
Yes. 20 pages later, 1 + 1 is 2.
And then I'm going to ask you to roll the normal dice and the expertise dice to see how the love letter plays out.
All right.
Can everybody see the dice roller, by the way? Yeah.
Yeah. That's a 5.
Okay, so 4 to 5. Reduce stress by 1. Talking it through with Professor Russell makes an enormous benefit because it just you feel like you've unloaded a lot of stuff, and so you can reduce stress by 1 and ask me one question about Agent Wotan's condition, because the other thing that happened while you were away from the front is you go straight from Burton Russell to Bletchley Park and have an opportunity to talk to Alun R, who is the pursuivant's expert on the occult and supernatural, about Wotan's condition, as he walks you across to some Nissen huts at the back of the stately home that is Bletchley Park. What question do you ask?
What does it take to wake her up? No matter what happens to her afterwards.
Now, it's interesting that you should say that, Adriana, because I think you may be key to it. Can I show you something?
Yes.
And so he will lead you through these rows of Nissen huts to a larger one at the back of the compound, where you can see lights inside, and he'll open it, and inside, a moment, you will see a peculiar machine with probably members of the Royal Army, Women's Royal Air Force, tinkering with a machine the like of which you have never seen before.
Yeah.
And he says, my hope is that this device can help us determine that. And he turns to the right. This is a technical space, but he turns to the right and you see 2 trolleys, gurneys, beds on wheels, surrounded by evidence that this is not just a technical space, but an arcane space. What do you see that clues you into the fact that there is more than simple mechanics going on here, but something arcane is in process?
There are copper lines built into the floor, which, when you combine them, make a straight line between Stonehenge and the pyramids.
Great. And I think because there's a bit of gallows humor here, at one end there's a little sign with a finger like that says pyramids, and at the other end there's a little sign saying Stonehenge. And that line runs between these 2 beds, these 2 trolleys. Now I'm going to cut back to events 4 hours in the future in Newport in occupied Belgium, which means I do that. So there is this vision of this dark, desolate plain, and outside you can see the burning half-track. And then the door behind you, and remember, behind that door is that peculiar arrangement of runes and sigils carved into the floor. You hear the door bang open and a fairly high-pitched voice say in German, "What have they done?" What do you do?
Is there somewhere we can hide?
I don't think so, because we left it last time that you were observing Reggie from the windows at the front of the building. So, like 3 paces behind you is the door.
Oh, well, probably not then.
I think it's shoot time, right? Like, I think we have to go loud and start shooting because they're right behind us.
Do we know? Is this the fish wish?
Yeah, but I imagine she's maybe not alone.
Fishes.
Let's have you spin round at least, yeah? And stood in the door with a light behind her is a middle-aged woman with a bright red hat, a bright blue scarf, and a man's suit on. It fits in every respect what you have been led to believe the fish witch looks like. The fish witch is Frau Edeltraud Wassermeister. What do you do?
I'm going to raise my Sten gun and compliments from London, bitch, and spray her.
So that's certainly with expertise, unless you want to roll with stress as well, Wilbur.
I think expertise should just be good enough at first. Let's
go
give
for
that
it.
a go.
You can always re-roll.
A 2 and a 3. Yeah, let's go for the stress as well then. And we've got a 4 with the stress dice.
Okay, so on a 4, you are confronting the mythos and its minions. On 4, you succeed with no obvious complications or benefits. So the bullets spray across her from hip to shoulder and thud into the wall behind. And then she runs to the door at the front of the warehouse where you are standing, apparently unharmed. Would you roll for stress, please?
Certainly. So my stress is currently 2, and I rolled a 5.
So it's now 3. Eglantine. No, let me ask Arthur first. Arthur, what do you do?
So I've just seen her basically shrug off getting sprayed by a Sten gun. Right? This is Frau Wassermeister.
The peculiar impression you got was the bullets passed straight through her.
Passed straight through her. I think Arthur's going to run over and try and grab her.
Fine. Eglantine, as she's running across the room, this 3, 4, 5 paces towards the 3 of you, and the door out onto the quayside, she's screaming, "Up, get up, come with me," in German. What do you do, Eglantine?
Well, so as I recall, my guess at the rune interpretation was that reality was not, like, this was possibly things that were being made to be dreamed. So I'm not convinced she's really here. I would like to go towards the door she came from.
Fine. So you ignore her. You go to the back to the room, into the back room, to the door into the back room. Yeah.
Yeah, I think she's projecting herself out here or something.
And as you move across the room, you see shadows getting up from bunks around the room that you are in that weren't here a little while ago. I'll cut there back to London, to Bletchley. The 2 beds either side of this ley line, Adriana, one of them has a woman with a drip in her arm that you recognize as Agatha Marsham, Agent Wotan. And Turing turns towards you and says, "You wanted to know what would wake her up, Adriana. The fact is, somebody has to go and get her." And he gives you a very piercing look.
What do you mean? How shall I get her out of this state? I'm not a physician.
No, Adriana. I need to send you to where she really is.
To where she is. And why can't the computers do that here? The women in the room.
The computer will help me locate her and send you in the right direction. My operators here are not trained as you are trained. I need a volunteer, Adriana.
Okay. Do I have a chance for one more cigarette?
By all means, we have some preparations to make. And with that, he nods to the operators of Colossus in the corner, the computer. And you see them begin to set dials. And then you become aware that there are on the floor around these two beds arrangements of tiny bulbs. And then a white-coated doctor comes to you and takes you by the arm and just leads you, asks you to step over this ring of light bulbs into the center space where the beds are located. Yeah? Please lie down, Miss Carnap, he says very calmly.
Good. I'm just pulling my dress a little bit further down. Go in position. I want to look good when I enter this new horizon for humankind.
And while you lie there smoking, he begins to just attach a kind of net of contacts to your head, and he says, "Don't worry, it really won't hurt at all. We think."
You think?
We're very confident, Miss Carnap, very confident. Meanwhile, Turing is tinkering with Colossus, making sure that the settings are right. Let me cut back to Newport. So, Eglantine, you've gone to the door, noticing these figures getting up from bunk beds around the room. What do you do?
I think I'm still going to go through the door, but I'm going to yell over my shoulder like, "Hey, chums, watch out for the shadow things." Like, they're just, I can't do anything about them, I don't think.
Arthur, you made a dash for Frau Wassermeister. So I think that's probably hand-to-hand combat.
Oh yeah, I guess.
Yeah, and you are trained, all of you as members of the Perseus are trained in hand-to-hand combat, so you're rolling both the normal dice, or the normal dice and the expertise dice. Go ahead.
That is a 5.
And so you catch her mid-drift and go straight through her, falling at Wilbur Strauss's feet. Wilbur, what do you do?
I'm going to pick up the Arthur quickly and say, "Get out! Get out! She's bloody magical!"
I think probably this is a sufficiently strange series of events, Arthur and Wilbur, for you to just roll for stress, please. Particularly that realization, Wilbur, that she's magical. She's magical.
So I rolled a 3, which equals my stress score.
Which is okay, so it does not go up. Wilbur, you're currently on 2, I think. Or have you not? Yeah.
Yep, so 5, which is higher than my 3, so it goes up by 1.
It does.
2 stress in less than 10 minutes.
It's all going terribly well. Eglantine, you seem to be keeping your cool at this point, so I'm not going to make you roll for stress at this point. Let's see what's beyond that door. As I described it before, I think there are 2 Nazi banners hanging on the wall, swastikas, with carved into the ground these sigils and runes. What do you do?
I am going to. I have a light carry marked, but I don't have all my equipment marked. I'm going to have a commando knife, I think, as my next bit of equipment.
Commando knife doesn't actually cost you any additional weight.
Great. And I am going to start scratching them out. I think they're giving some of these things their power. So
certainly, as you approach them, they are giving off an unpleasant glow. Yeah? And so you begin to just hammer at them and scratch them and just try to ruin them.
I think so. I don't know if you saw my question in the chat, which is like, do I have any sort of protective sign or symbol that I would know from the combination of the notes and the semiotics degree that might...
I don't think so. Generally speaking...
Then yes, I am just scratching them out.
Fine. So...
Alan, you suddenly are muted.
Thanks for spotting that, because I could have gone on forever. We cut back to Bletchley Park, where after they put the... Adriana is still here. There's Adriana. After they put this net of contacts onto your head, they put some of those old kind of terribly kind of wiry headphones, 1930s headphones. And you hear a whisper saying, Adriana, if you can hear me, just raise your right hand, please. And it's Turing's voice. That's fine, Adriana. I'm fairly confident this will allow us to maintain some kind of contact while you're looking for Agatha. Now, Adriana, what I'm intending to do is to use some readings that we've taken from Agatha to locate her in what I'm increasingly coming to call the Dreamlands. And what I'm very much hoping is going to happen is that when Colossus begins to spit out the right sorts of coordinates, you will begin to move towards her. But in order to maintain that contact, I'm just going to ask you to hold her hand. Because she's lying on the bed next to you unconscious. And as he says that, the doctor comes forward and kind of raises her hand and puts it in yours. And he says, just to be on the safe side, you should try to avoid not holding her hand. We're hoping to use you as a beacon for her and her as a beacon for you, so we can bring you back. Do you have any other questions, Adriana?
Yes.
Please.
If you call this the Dreamland, somebody must dream it. And who is the dreamer?
As far as we can gather, the Dreamlands are a peculiar combination of everyone's dreams. So hopefully, as Colossus begins to do his stuff, if you can keep a picture of Agatha in your head, and that's, Adriana, when you find a slight prick as somebody puts an IV drip into your left arm, the one that isn't holding Agatha's hand. Because what would be very helpful is if you were thinking about Agatha and finding Agatha as you just drift off to sleep. Mm-hmm. And then we'll cut back to Newport.
Okay.
So Arthur, Wilbur has shouted, what do you do?
I think Arthur is, as a result of passing that stress roll, has got enough of his wits around him to try and cast the Elder Sign, the invocation that he's in. So how do I do invocations again?
Okay, because it's quite, so it counts as confronting the mythos and its minions, but it costs you 1 stress automatically. Yeah, right. So you pay the stress, and then you roll as if you were rolling to confront the minions, blah, 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 blah. And we see how it goes. But you do need to roll one of the failure dice. And if the failure dice comes out higher, then you will take some stress.
Okay. But I could roll stress dice to re-roll the whole roll, right, as well?
You could.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, you are currently, as if you didn't know, on 4 stress. And when it reaches 6, you break and stuff happens. Okay. Just as long as you know.
So I'll roll the dice. Oh, that's 2s. That's 2 is the highest dice. So I'll get the stress dice involved to re-roll the whole thing.
Well, on 1 to 3, you fail or succeed at a cost that the GM will describe. So you're currently succeeding at a cost the GM will describe. And if the failure dice is at least as high as your roll, then you will roll 1d6 for consequences.
Yeah, it was as high as my the failure dice was tied with the thing, so I would face.
So that's the current circumstance. You can re-roll all those 3 and the stress dice and take a chance.
Yeah, I'll re-roll all those and the stress dice. The failure dice is the highest one now. It's 5. Great.
Okay. So none of your success dice are above 3. So fail or succeed at a cost the GM will describe. Mm-hmm. Because the failure dice is high, you will roll a d6 anyway for how much harm you take. Yeah, from this effort, whatever backlash the mythos is throwing at you. So maybe we could try rolling that failure dice to see how far up it goes.
Sure.
So good luck.
That's a 3.
1 to 3, you get hurt. Agree with the GM. It's bloody and you'll die without immediate aid. It's messy and the wound will leave an oppressive, ugly scar. Or it's painful and you cannot use your expertise until you get medical attention.
It's painful and I can't use expertise until I get medical attention.
Okay, you'll find a slot on the character keeper that allows you to mark expertise as unavailable. Okay. Describe, because what form did that backlash take?
I think that the backlash is just how draining magic is, like how overwhelming it is to do. So like he invokes the elder sign in the room, like drawing it with his fingers and saying whatever words it is. And then it takes whatever effect it has, but just basically it's like his strings are cut the second that he casts it. It's just collapses.
And do you want to fail, or do you want to succeed at a cost I will describe?
I want to succeed. I want to succeed at a cost you described.
Okay, I think that the cost is that this will have an effect on Wilbur. Are you prepared to pay that cost?
I mean, it's Wilbur's cost, unfortunately. So yes, I am willing to pay that. If it's not going to put Wilbur in too much certain death.
It's going to force a stress roll on Wilbur, because as you mark this elder sign, it actually begins to appear in the air in front of you. And with all that's going on, Wilbur, that's a bit hairy for a bloke from the East End. So would you roll stress, please? And then I'll tell you the effect it has, Arthur.
I certainly will. I rolled a 1. It's because Arthur Blake's my best mate. It must be good shit that he's doing.
Okay, so the elder sign takes effect, and it generates a temporary field that holds off the power of the mythos or other magical effects. Yeah, because you used it before in the fiction, so that's what it did. And what happens is that in a bubble around you and Wilbur, Frau Edeltraud Wassermeister has disappeared. And outside that bubble, you can see SS troopers charging towards you. But as they enter the bubble, they disappear. Inside that bubble, you can see the room illuminated by the flaming half-track outside. But beyond that bubble, the room is darker than it ought to be. Seem fair? Okay. Let's cut back to Bletchley Park. So, Adriana, you hear Turing saying, now, Adriana, listen to my voice and just relax and think of Agatha. Think of finding Agatha and think of her hand in yours.
Finding Agatha.
10.
My hand in hers.
9. 8. 7. 6. 5. Bloody hell, where did you come from? Says a woman's voice.
What's going on?
You are in a small cell, and you are holding the hand of a young woman that is Agatha Marsham, but without the effects of about a week of dehydration and no food and coma. And she's looking, and you're gripping her hand, I think, very firmly. And she's staring at you, saying, where the bloody hell did you come from?
Agatha, we are in risk. We're in risk. Something went wrong. Mr. Turing was shouting. Somebody entered the room. Where are we? Keep my hand. No.
And she says, I must have dozed off, and what, they put you in here as well. She's clearly trying to rationalize the sudden appearance of another young woman in her, what she takes to be a Gestapo cell.
Okay. I think I need to change my approach here. Agatha, I'm here to rescue you. But you need to be fast.
How did London know where to find me?
That's the thing. London needs to find out where we are. Come with me. Now. Quick. We need to find the coordinates.
She clearly doesn't understand, but she's prepared to go with the flow. As I say, it's a cell with a small kind of grill in the door.
Yeah. Well, it's easier said than did. But we will make it through here. What do you know about this place?
I don't know. I'd been having terrible dreams, and then I fell asleep. I must have fallen asleep, and they must have found me while I was asleep. When I woke up, I was here. There's been all sorts of conversations going on out there, though.
All right. Somebody is probably keeping guard outside. We'll tease them in.
I've not seen any guards. I've not seen any guards, but yes, let's try a ruse.
All right, but whatever happens, keep my hand in mine. Your hand in mine. That's important.
And I think at this point I do need Adriana to roll for stress, because this does seem to be a suitably disturbing circumstance.
I don't think my expertise applies here, because no matter how analytical
this is just roll the stress dice, the green stress dice, and hope you get
just
one.
The stress.
Yeah.
Ah, okay. Yeah. And there we go. It's up.
Okay, so your stress has gone up to 2, despite everything that Turing tried to warn you he couldn't warn you enough for this. And so yes, there is a cell. There is the grill in the door, and you can hear a noise outside. I think I describe it as kind of scratching noise, maybe. What do you do, Adriana?
I don't want to, but I have to take a look through the grill to see what's going on outside.
You look out into a dark, torchlit space. The walls are black and marked with carved swastikas. But down there to one side of the door, you can see a woman on her knees scratching at the floor. What do you do?
Hey, you. Can you open the door?
Eglantine, what
Stop
do you do
stretching your fingers.
when you hear Adriana's voice?
Just, Adriana, is that you? I'm using a knife, by the way, not my fingers. Just so you know.
Eglantine?
Are you here?
Come here.
Yes. Come where? Where are you?
Here behind
Eglantine,
the door.
Now that you have a chance, Eglantine, to kind of take in the room, because you went through that door and went straight for the rooms on the floor. The room has changed in as much as when you came through the window and entered this room from a storeroom where you would have left 2 dead Germans, this was a wood panel with a big table with a lot of paper on it, blah, blah, blah. Now, as you look up, you realize that the room is of a black stone carved with swastikas with the banners hanging on it. And the wooden door that did go into a storeroom is now a cell door. What do you do, Eglantine?
Quick question. Have I, suitably messed up the runes?
You certainly have done significant harm to those runes.
Okay. I'm going to go towards the cell in case Adriana's in it, because her voice has to be coming from somewhere. Or dream her is in it. I'm assuming all of this could be an illusion the whole time. So I'm just going to go towards, if her voice seems to be coming from the cell, that's where I will go.
And we see you having a conversation through the grill, perhaps.
That makes sense.
Yes.
Adriana, what on earth are you doing here?
Agatha is with me. I'm holding her hand.
Where are you?
To hold her hand.
Though?
Mr. Chiang has told me.
Okay, I will ask you about that later. I'm talking to you through a grate. Where does this grate go? Where are you? We need to get you out of wherever you are.
It's a hole in the door about so square with some bars on it.
Can I see enough to see that it's okay? All right.
You can see Adriana. You can see a woman you will recognize, Agatha. Okay. And it's a cell with a single bare light bulb hanging in the middle of the ceiling. It is not the storeroom that you closed the door
Clearly
on
not.
30 minutes ago.
Is there can I open the door? To the cell?
There's a metal latch on your side. So yeah.
I'm gonna open the door.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's cut to the other room. So Wilbur, remarkably, you've retained your composure in the face of these goings on. What do you do? Because you see these SS troopers running towards you, towards the door behind you. And as they reach the bubble of protection that Arthur has set up, they disappear. And then you can hear them outside. What do you do, Wilbur?
I can hear them outside behind me.
It feels like they've just got, they're over there, you're here, there's a door behind you, they were rushing towards you, they disappear, and then they appear to be outside.
Okay, now the room in front of us, we originally came through that direction, didn't we? So we know there's a window that direction leading back into the town.
You know that there's a window, there are 2 windows at the back going into the town. You know that there are 2 windows in the room you're in, looking out at the half tracks and the U-boat. But the room outside this bubble that Arthur's conjured does not look like the room you walked through to get to this door.
Okay. What situation is Arthur in?
Arthur, what situation are you in?
Dazed and confused, I think, but maybe stumbling back up to his feet. What does the room look like outside of the bubble?
It looks like a military bunk room with bunks for perhaps a dozen troopers.
But there are no troopers. Nothing's.
The troopers appear to have got out of their bunks and run through the bubble outside, where you can hear a high-pitched voice saying, "We must get to the ritual site." And you hear a half track starting up.
Huh.
Well, that was our original where we wanted to go anyway, wasn't it? So I'm going to help Arthur to his feet, and I'm going to suggest we go out back towards the town, as was our plan. What state's Eglantine in? Can we see her?
Eglantine's gone out the back of the room, so she's on the town side of the building, behind a door. Well, the door may be open.
Okay, that's the direction we want to go anyway.
Okay,
so we'll head that way.
Arthur,
Arthur,
unless you tell me different, I'm going to have that elder sign pack up.
Yeah.
In a minute. Is that okay?
Yeah. I imagine it has been like localized to the place I cast it as well, rather than like traveling with me.
So you move out of the bubble and you are in not the wooden kind of storage bit of a warehouse that you came through, but you are in, again, it appears to be constructed of a black stone lit by torches. And there is a door with more torchlight from beyond that. And there you see Eglantine opening a door. And out of that door comes Adriana Carnap and another young woman. Now, I'm struck by the fact that it is 5 to the hour, and this would seem like a good moment to just have a pause and contemplate. Yeah, if you were going to put a commercial break in, this is where you would put it. So shall we say 10 minutes? It's 5 to the hour now, back here at 5 past the hour. Yeah? See you then.
A long commercial break. See you there.
I really do appreciate the effort, Paul.
Well, yeah, hopefully more than 2 people watch the YouTube. You never know.
Well, you've brought some pleasure to at least 4 people in the world today, Kit.
Well, yeah.
You're ahead of the game.
It's the smallest I can do. But a great game, Alan. Great game.
Well, 2 hours to go, kid. Don't count your chickens.
I have no idea what happened with the Elder Sign. Like, things got very strange there.
Well, now that you're all together, you might have that moment to try and analyze or try to work out what's going on. But I'll be able to help with that in a moment.
I mean, metagamingly, I think I can work out where we are and what's going on. But
so, Gerrit, are we roboting to you? Is that how it's? Because we're getting just a tiny occasional stutter from you, but that's all.
Yeah, and I hear only every second word you're saying.
Oh no!
But that's usually enough to get the content.
Well, do stop us if there's a problem. Clearly the mythos is cursing this series because Will couldn't speak last time because of a broken microphone, and now at least every other word's getting through.
Why don't we say every word twice, and then he can hear us?
Hello,
Yes.
hello, Gerrit.
Yeah, there is this. I think in the Parisian French has this that you say every word twice, but the second time you say it with reverse letter orders. And there are people who can speak perfectly full sentences with that. It's incredible.
Well,
Yeah, like full conversations.
don't
try.
expect that. Don't expect that this afternoon. Right, we'll give Pearl a moment.
That's Dreamland stuff.
It is. If I understood Wilbur right, you were heading for the windows out back towards the town and that handful of Belgians who haven't surrendered yet.
Mm-hmm. And I need to figure out where we are.
Well, so Wilbur and Arthur come back into this room where Eglantine has just let Adriana and Agatha out of their cell. And as you look around, Arthur, because I think it's more likely to be Arthur who's looking around him. I think Wilbur knows what he's about. If you were kind of imagining a caricature almost of a temple to the Nazi occult, then that's what this room would look like. Its dimensions are just like the same room, so it's not a vast room. Dimensions are exactly the same as the building that you were previously in. But as I say, instead of being wooden, the walls are of this black stone that's carved and incised with various symbols of the Nazi party. And the table on which some papers were scattered when you came through this room on the way to the front of the building, it's now a stone table, and the room is lit by torches, and there is a roaring fire in a very ornate fireplace at the far end. So that's what you and Arthur see when you get in. That's what Eglantine and Adriana are seeing when they come in. The strange thing is, Adriana, that its aesthetic is very different from the cell you've just come out of, which looked like a dank basement Gestapo cell, as you might imagine it. What do you do?
This is the dream.
the Dreamlands? By God, Turing was right.
This is the Dreamland.
Quick, How did you get here, Adriana?
You're muted, Garrett. Is this roboting becoming really problematic? Because we could end the broadcast and restart it in the hope that, and then we'll just have it in 2 halves. Is that worth trying? Because you've now frozen, Garrett. I'll just type that into chat.
I kind of vote that it's worth trying, even if Garrett doesn't. Frozen people are not that fun.
No.
Although that's it, a nice confused face to be frozen on.
It is.
But
Do we think we can leave via the Dreamlands, or like?
No,
you'll need
to leave this. You need to use the leave studio button, and then give me a moment because I think I have to get back in first. Okay, so right, so I've sent that message to Garrett. Okay, he's gone. If all of you leave, I'll leave last, and then count to 10, and we'll try again. Okay.
Oh, Garrett's typed something.
Oh, right.
Saying he's here.
I'll message him in Slack.
Oh, right. No, hang on. He's asking to be added back in. Let's try that again. Let's try that again, Garrett. It's just that if it does happen, we'll fold this half and we'll restart in a second instance. Okay. Will's gone now.
Because he signed off because we're all signing off, right?
Yeah.
But he'll count to 10 and sign back in? Is that?
Yeah, I'm hoping he'll just sign back in. Here he comes. Okay, we're going to try again. Yes, Nazi temple, a temple to the Nazi occult on a small scale, a very different looking dank basement cell, and at the front half, what looks like a barracks block. What do you do?
Is this the Dreamland?
And you'll hear in your ear, Adriana, I think you tried to say something. What? Say that again. Say that again.
I hadn't expected this to be the Dreamland.
Describe where you are, Adriana. Please. This is most important.
It looks like a Nazi camp, but it has like different structures from different settings, and it's all a little bit mixed up. Like you leave one area, but it's like it's organically connected, and then again it's not.
My God, it's built from individual perceptions. So have you found Agatha?
Agatha is with me, but not only Agatha, but all the other agents on their mission are with me right now. We are here together, and it seems they have a plan.
Very good. I need to think about the consequences of this, Adriana. You've done terribly well. Keep up the good work. I'm signing off for now. The rest of you have seen Adriana speaking to Turing, though he's not here. Wilbur, you were interested in those back windows. What do you want to do?
So they're still visible. Yep.
Yeah, but they're no longer those kind of rectangular sash windows. They're now long slits in this black stone.
Oh, this is as bloody mad as a box of frogs. Oh, yeah. I'm going to wander quickly over. I'm going to prop Arthur up. If he's fully mobile, I'll just sort of push him against something. If not, I'll put his arm over my shoulder and I'll walk to one of these windows. What can I see outside, please?
You see a dark grey sky and almost a monochrome, as though looking at a heathland or a heathland at dusk. So the colours are leached out. They're all in shades of grey.
We're bloody not in Peckham now, that's for sure. Well, I'll relay this to Arthur and Eglantine and Adriana and say, this ain't right. We ain't on the coast anymore.
Yeah. Yes, you're not in Kansas. Arthur?
I think Arthur will haul himself up alongside Wilbur and stare out at the heathland, at the alien vista in front of him. So are we still connected back the other way, do we think? Like the way that we came in, could other people come in through after us, essentially? You're muted, Alan.
We'll cut to the chase. If you go back into the front half of the warehouse, you will find that it is an SS bunk room with, shall we say, 8 double bunks. And the front wall of this is a large, heavy, iron-bound door with, again, slit windows either side. And through those slit windows, you will see a similar plane. But this seems to be looking out to the horizon. And I think probably you will infer the sea is that way. Eglantine?
I am still going to be trying to tell everyone that this is not reality and that we should stick together and figure out what's going on. And nobody seems to be paying attention to this, but like I figured it out before we even came in, really. And everything is pointing to this not being real. And us all taking off towards things is not going to help because they're going to just keep changing. If everyone can just take a moment, we need to figure out how Adriana got here and whether she's actually real. I have a question for her to check if she's the real Adriana. And I just put in the chat, I don't know what the benefits are of a book versus an artifact, but I have room in my bag and I want to have one of those, I think.
You can't really have one of those. If you find one, you can use it.
Oh, it was on the list of the equipment.
I'm sorry, it was an exemplar. Because I think the only person who's likely to have a tome of arcane lore, because he's taken his fascination in the blasphemous arcane, is Arthur.
Well,
so you can work with stuff because of your
fine.
semiotics background.
I was just checking,
Yeah.
So first of all, Adriana, what's your nickname for me?
Why are you asking me such things?
Just answer. You're the only one who calls me by my nickname. What is it? I need to know it's you. Things here aren't real, or aren't what they appear to be. You might be a projection of the actual Adriana, or you might be a figment of my imagination. Or someone else's imagination. What's my nickname?
I am a projection of the real Adriana, and I'm fortunate not to be here for real. I hope you are neither here for real here.
If you don't
this
answer
is the Dreamlands.
I will find you wherever your real body is and stab you. Tell me what my nickname is. There's no time. There's no time, for God's sake.
You mean that I called you Eggy?
You didn't call me Eggy. I don't think this is Adriana. Who are you?
I'm here, and Turing has sent me.
Who are you? The real Adriana would know what my nickname is.
I might not remember. Aren't we in a dangerous situation? What are you out here? What is it? I don't know your nickname anymore. No.
All right. Well, then you must not be Adriana, because Adriana and I were very close, and she made up my nickname. She was the only one who knew it because she made it up herself. So, whoever you are, get back in the cell.
No.
Boys?
I need to hold her hand. That's important. Agatha?
So hold her hand and the two of you go back in the cell. Put them in the cell.
Okay.
Oh no, I recognise that other person. Well, I recognise both of them.
Yeah, I recognize them too, except that they don't. I asked a question that only the real Adriana would know the answer to, and she doesn't. She doesn't know the answer, so
ask her a question about Bletchley Park. I'm sure she should know that if she's an agent, and nobody else, no Nazi, should know that.
Adriana, who sent you here?
Mr. Turing has sent me here with his big machine, and I'm on a table in a laboratory.
And Agent Wotan is with you?
And here's Agatha, Agent Wotan, and we are here to find the coordinates.
The coordinates for what?
The dig site. We know the coordinates for the dig site.
Don't answer questions for her. We're trying to test her.
We will.
Jesus Christ.
I have Turing in my head. I can tell him whatever he needs to know. You can tell me, and I will forward it to him.
Oh,
No.
can we try that?
No.
Can we? No, because like this is our only chance to tell Turing that the fish witch is here. That the the coordinates. So that if we die, no one else can stop it. If we don't tell her people. So
Yeah,
this is our only way.
She hasn't been sent by Turing, and she's been sent by someone else.
No one but a member of the Pursuivants or Her Majesty's government would know that Turing was working in Bletchley Park with Adriana.
Okay, while they are arguing,
Fine.
Agatha,
Right.
Run! Let's run now!
No, fine. Forgot. Well, capture them then. Capture them. Isn't that what you boys do? At least, Sergeant.
Wilbur, what do you do when Adriana and Agatha try to flee back towards the main door, the only door?
I'm going to actually, I'm going to shout then, everyone, stand the fuck still. There's a lot of fucking things going on here. All we got to do is get out of here and get to the dig site inland. That's the fucking mission. So, yeah, basically, I'd like to be quite intimidating and try and calm whatever's going on here down.
Let's have you do something else then.
I'm slightly confused.
Yes, you're just trying to bring order with a Sten gun. So you certainly have expertise in that because you are one of your skill set is intimidation, isn't it?
I mean, I'm going to stop
Indeed
anyway.
it is.
I have no desire to go anywhere else, so I'm happy to freeze when he says to freeze.
So let's see whether it's enough to bring Adriana to a stop.
Well, if the
5 and a
sergeant
1
calls for a stop, I stop.
Yeah, I sound quite intimidating.
Fine. Let's not bother with the roll. Everybody's gone. Okay.
So, would it be practical to do if we all gather together and put our heads together and do an investigate roll, maybe to try and work out like the best way of getting out of here to our intended destination or wherever we might go, because it's a very confusing like geographical space, like I don't know how this links up with the site that we want to go to exactly, right? But for the moment the Nazis aren't actually shooting us, and we need to put our heads together and get out. So if we did like a group investigate roll, would that work?
Certainly, because I think that Adriana's analysis, if she could focus on the problem, would help. I think your arcane interests would allow you to have expertise.
I can't use my expertise because I'm.
Oh no, you had a nasty shock. Yes, that's right. Well, what's the phrase? Until you have medical attention.
Or you can bully me.
I probably wouldn't be any good with all this kind of weird kind of stuff. So I'm going to actually spend some time to apply some first aid to Arthur because I have marked off that I am carrying a medic's first aid kit.
Looking at him, he has no physical wounds. So you have two places to go in terms of that typical medical military medkit is a shot of morphine or the rubbing alcohol.
I think the rubbing alcohol. We don't want him dozy and flopping all over the place.
Where are you applying it?
Well, I think internally is probably the way to stiffen Arthur's sinews at the moment.
Everyone here is mad.
I have had a hip flask in the past, so maybe I can make it not taste so bad.
Yeah, shot of whiskey will perk me up, right?
So I think I'm prepared to let you make use of the
survival.
Get drunk.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
Arthur. Yeah.
The get drunk one. Okay. So that would be roll 1 dice, right, and see what happens.
Reduce stress by 1, and then roll 1d6.
I got 4.
Okay. 4 plus. Agree with the GM whether you make a scene that attracts unwelcome attention. Let something slip to the wrong person. I'm not sure that's relevant in this context. Carelessly wreck something important or meaningful.
Make a scene that attracts unwelcome attention.
Okay. So Arthur not just glugs all of the hip flask. So that as an option is gone, but it has taken the edge off his stress at least. And I think I'm going to let that count as getting your expertise back, Arthur, because I think that's where that stress came from. And I'll worry about the unwelcome attention in a moment. Adriana, you were going to make a run for it, but then Wilbur kind of called you to a halt.
Yeah, some things just stick.
Now, as the GM, I need to be clear whether you, Gerrit, have genuinely forgotten the name that you gave Eglantine in episode 2, or whether you want Adriana to genuinely have forgotten.
Well, I have generally forgotten it. I thought that was clear, so I made up a new nickname, but that was not accepted. So I think we need to flow with the fiction now. And so also...
I mean, that's what I was doing then, right?
Okay.
Also, Adriana seems to have forgotten, which I will somehow have to build into my character now. Fine.
I just wanted to be clear in my own mind where we were. I
was totally confused too.
Eglantine, what are you doing?
Well, I've frozen because the sergeant told us all to freeze, and he has a gun. Everyone's stressed out. Has Adriana stopped?
Yes.
Adriana. Apparently, I don't know your name either.
And Agatha is just she's more and more confused.
So I'm just going to announce to anyone who will listen, which is probably nobody. I'm going to say again, we need to stick together, which thank you, Sergeant, for stopping everyone. Whatever's going on, this is not normal reality, and we don't know what's going to be on the other side of any given door at this point. We just don't know. So let's not go anywhere until we've formulated some sort of plan, or if Arthur has something that can maybe break through the dreamscape that we're in or something. And then this may be whatever it is over here, and maybe Agatha can possibly send a message to Turing. That was a convincing argument that nobody else would know she was there unless they had somehow intercepted some information. We just don't know. So I think we all need to take a breath.
Agent Eglantine, we are in the Dreamlands.
I know. Before we
we are not. Maybe we are not dreaming. We are physically here within the Dreamlands. Turing was right all along. He was right.
I'm not arguing with you.
Right, but this could be our chance to get away from the Nazis. There's no way we can take on a whole U-boat. We can.
Agree.
Maybe we can escape.
But do you know how to get out of the Dreamlands to get somewhere you want to go when you leave? This is what I'm trying to say. We need to figure out how we're leaving.
Yeah. So
are there places where reality and the Dreamlands sort of naturally meet. This is clearly one of them. Maybe there's another one somewhere else in the Dreamlands we could find.
Can we get back to where?
You're throwing plenty of questions about. I think that mechanically, this is investigate. And you can each investigate, and we can take the best outcomes, or we can start with one person and then spread it around if that doesn't go too well. Yeah?
I'm up for either.
I think probably the place to start is probably Arthur, because it's closer to his expertise than anybody else's. And despite the fact that he shouted, "Oh, I feel better for that." Go for
the
it,
last
Arthur.
thing I want to say while he's rolling is just, if you really think that Adriana is real and with Turing, maybe we should try to figure out how to get back there.
Exactly, but we need to get to the dig site still. We're the only ones close enough.
So,
Yes,
Arthur, with
I
your
need the
expertise-
coordinates. I need to find the coordinates. That's why I'm here.
So, Arthur, was that a 5 and a 3?
Yeah, it was a 5 and a 3.
Okay, 4 or 5. You get the bare minimum, and you can also ask the GM one question. So, bare minimum. When all of you wander about, look out through the windows, it appears to be a consistent scene outside. There is a burning half-track outside, and there is a half-sunk U-boat in the marshy ground in front of this building. Yeah? There are a couple of German submariners standing on the U-boat, looking around like that. Okay? So that's what you get for nothing. And I think it's enough for Arthur to conclude that you actually are in the Dreamlands. That parallel dimension where dreams are real. What question do you want to ask Arthur?
How do we get out of here to back to Dunkirk?
If I tell you how you think you got here, that would give you a building block. Yeah?
Yeah.
Because I'm not sure I've got a simple answer for the question asked. You were pretty convinced that those symbols on the floor back in Newport were some kind of gate that involved travel and dream. Yeah? What appears to have happened is that stone, that statue, that whatever it was that they dragged out of the North Sea, destroying it unleashed a significant amount of power. And what that power may have done is to just magnify the power of that gate. So while the Fish Witch may have been using that gate to walk into the Dreamlands, what appears to have happened with the unleashing of that power is that a gate big enough to move 3 of you, a U-boat, and a burning half-track into the Dreamlands. Does that seem a fair amount of information to have?
That does seem a fair amount of information to have.
Adriana, as Arthur works through that for you all, using small words for Wilbur, how does that differ from the route you've taken?
The route here. I just woke up. I was suddenly here. There wasn't...
Would you like to make an investigate roll?
Yes.
Adriana? With expertise, because I think your analysis counts here.
Mm-hmm.
As does your occult mathematics.
That's a 4.
Okay.
I think I would like to add stress here.
Okay, go for it.
Because this journey was stressful. My stress is not higher, and now I have a 5.
So, the route that Arthur describes, or his hypothesis for how they got here, is different to the way you got here. I think that the basic information you need is for me to tell you that you have been astrally projected into the Dreamlands. Because Turing will come on the line if necessary and say something like, Adriana, I'm just struggling a little bit to work out how the others got there. We were pretty confident that someone cast an invocation on Agatha that in effect put her to sleep and kept her in the Dreamlands. And it looks like you found her. Jolly good show. We induced the same effect to get you there. So your body is here.
Thank
Your
you.
astral projection is in the Dreamlands.
Yeah, he
From
is quite
what
relative right now.
From what you're describing, a U-boat and a burning half-track don't dream.
Yes.
They are physical artifacts in the same way that the bodies of the other agents are physical artifacts. Somehow they've fallen into the Dreamlands lock, stock, and barrel. They're not astrally projecting. They're actually there.
There's
You can
much
ask me a
more which is
question.
actually here. Is the dig site really here?
That I don't know. I've been reading the briefing that came back after the Duchamp evidence, and I'm really not certain. There will be certain places in the Dreamlands that, if they are dreamed about by someone now or in the past, or conceivably in the future, then they will coexist.
I think so.
You told me that that Wassermeister appeared to be there. Did you say she drove off in one of the half tracks? And I think that is what happened.
Yeah. Okay. So
Then she's not astrally projecting either. She's there in reality.
okay. I think we need to focus on those objects which are physically here. And I think those objects will also guide us to the focal place of the Dreamlands. Like where, like in a whirlwind, where you have like the calm center. Some place where this all is channeling to.
That may be the case, Adriana. But earlier you asked me a question. You asked me how to get Agatha back. I'm fairly confident that if you shoot her in the head there, her projected body will fall back to its natural place. And the same would be true of you.
I will not shoot anybody in the head. There must be another way. Turing, come back. Turing!
And there's how much of that, Adriana, do you share with the others? Because they only heard one side of the conversation, which ended with, I'm not going to shoot anyone in the head.
I think I should share it all, because otherwise they will start disbelieving me again. And we had that already. That won't lead anywhere.
So the bottom line is that Adriana and Agatha could get back to their real bodies by having their astrally projected bodies killed.
Don't dare.
The three of you are in your actual bodies already. So that won't work for you. If you get shot in the head here, you will die here.
So Adriana's told us the conversation. We know that the order wasn't to shoot us, right?
That's
so
right.
We don't have to worry that, like, that's what's the problem. Let's see.
What does Wotan make of things?
I think Agatha is speechless, frankly. She's heard conversation in German in this room between a woman with a high-pitched voice, and when she looked, you identify that as Wassermeister, the Fist Witch, and some SS guards. But she has not had to process this, and she doesn't have the experience or, frankly, expertise to process this in any way. But
can we just basically like persuade her that we're allied forces, we're on a mission, she should join us, rather than we have to shoot her in the head, send her back, but we can just tell we rescued you and let's go.
Adriana has explained to her that she was here to rescue her, so Agatha assumes she's being rescued. Yeah. But this doesn't look like the Gestapo headquarters that she's been briefed on.
Yes, yeah. So I guess what I'm saying is, can we keep her mind from breaking by focusing her on our mission, rather than like having her just be a catatonic mess that we have to deal with?
Yeah, no, that's fine. That's fine.
Yeah. Well, it seems as though now we've got two basically like kind of invulnerable agents with us, because if they die here, then they wake up back in real life, right? So maybe we should try my suggestion is we try and make our way out of the Dreamlands to the site that we think would correspond with the ritual site. Is that a possibility?
On the door.
Oh.
Large iron-bound door.
Can we open it?
Yeah, it's got bolts.
Yeah, I'm relying on the fact that. So, can you describe outside the sort of the land? Did you say it was sort of marshy, heathy?
Yeah, it's heathland behind you, towards where the town of Newport was, and as you look out the other way, it drops away into low-lying marshland, salt marshes, by the look of it, and the half track drove parallel to the coast, away from you.
I'm relying on that. I've got some survival skills. We should be able to follow the tracks for the half track.
I'd be surprised if there's many of them here, but you also have the burning half track outside, which is now beginning to gutter, and the submarine, the submariners.
Can we sail the submarine up the coast?
It's sunk half into this marsh.
Yeah, I thought it was, but I thought it's worth a try, right?
So Wilbur, you've gone to the door, this great iron-bound door. What do you do?
So I can see some Germans outside, yeah?
Yes, and I'm prepared to tell you that the captain of the U-boat is banging on the door.
Well, I think with my commando knife, I should open the door and quickly pull him in.
Right, fine. Roll to do something else. Let's see how well that goes. Or no, actually subdue. So confront the mythos and its minions.
Is this hand-to-hand combat?
It is.
Okay, I will roll with expertise then.
Roll a single failure dice just in case.
And I got a 6, and I got a 6 on failure.
Well,
I'm relying that I got the drop on him.
You have the 6 on failure has to be higher than your dice, so you've got a 6. The door opens, and you drag him in, and he's looking at you in British uniform, though you've still got that greatcoat on over the top of it, and he's entirely at your mercy. What do you do with him? With that
Where the fuck did she go? Where the fuck did she go, Jerry?
And the strange thing is that he speaks back to you in Cockney English. And he says, I don't know how we got here. I was just looking for some help, mate.
For fuck's sake, this is fucking with my head, this is.
Which is why, having rolled a 6, roll for stress, please.
6, it goes up by 1.
It would be peculiarly ironic if our tough NCO was the one who cracked. So you have an apparently Cockney German captain on the floor at your feet. You've slammed the door and you've got your back to the door so nobody else can come in. The rest of you will have heard this go on in the front room, in the room at the front. What do you do?
Arthur, you investigated and figured some things out, right?
Yes, but I don't see us catching up to the fish witch if we don't have any transportation.
Okay, here's what I'm wondering. Right, we're in the Dreamlands. We need to get to the coordinates, or we need to get the coordinates to Turing, or both. I'm not really sure, but can we purposefully dream our way somewhere? Do you think?
I'm not sure.
Can we dream a door that would take us to the fish wish? Do you think?
This is the first field test of Turing's theory. You'll have to bear with me. I'm not quite sure how to navigate this space. As far as I know, spaces in the Dreamlands correspond with spaces in physical space. So if we can travel to one space, we could travel back through to another space. However, and then I think as we're speaking is when you hear the crash and the Cockney correspondence in the other room. And I guess I would probably all bolt over there, right? Like, it seems as though it could be Nazis, or it could be monsters, or it could be anything, right? So rather than continue arguing, maybe we'd go and check out the noise.
What do you do
I
when
didn't think
he's
we were arguing. I was asking you sincere questions, but okay.
Discussion.
What do you do, Wilbur, when you've thrown to the ground? He says, I'm just looking for a way home, Governor.
So are we, you Nazi scum. So are we. But we're also looking for a woman in red. Have you seen her?
Yeah, I know who she is. Mrs. Watermaster.
That's the one. That's the one we're looking for. Where did she go? Do you know where she is?
She got any other off track and drove off, Governor.
All right. And I'll shout back, get in here. You lot get in here. I need some brains.
And so that's what you see, all of you. My name's Rainer Argan. There's not many people know that.
I didn't know that, Rainer Argan. Thanks for letting me know. This is Rainer Argan. He's a Nazi.
I'm the captain of the U3A.
Just like to pose the question, would the captain have just volunteered the information about one of the things that the Nazis really don't want us to find that easily? Surely
I'm no
they're
Nazi. I'm no Nazi. I'm just a U-boat captain. Eglantine, when he speaks to you, he says, Madam, I'm no captain. I'm no Nazi. I'm simply a U-boat captain doing his job.
Look, nothing here is what it seems. I have no idea who you are. And frankly, at this point, I'm not even interested. Like, everything here is wonky and messed up. And I'm starting to not trust anyone, even my own people. Can I roll to investigate?
I think, Eglantine, you certainly can. And if you don't, I'm going to ask you to roll for stress, because I think this is getting to Eglantine.
I'm irritated. Yes, it is. This is
so
ridiculous.
Feel free to put your stress dice into this roll.
Yes,
because if you don't, I'll make you roll one anyway.
I was already planning on it. Do I have any expertise at this point? I mean, I feel like I have expertise because I predicted we were going to travel into a dream state before we did, but I don't know if it counts. I
don't think so, to be honest.
All right, fine.
So just the stress dice. Oh, right. So stress didn't go up, and a success with 4. So the basic information from Investigate is that this German either speaks perfect cut glass English, which seems unlikely, and Wilbur has inferred that he's got a Cockney German, which is confusing. So it appears that speech here, language is no barrier. You hear the language that you're most comfortable in. And I think probably Adriana will have heard the end of that in very crisp Viennese German. And Arthur will have heard it in a kind of Halifax Yorkshire. So language doesn't matter here. Here is, to all intents and purposes, at this point, real, and he seems to be in genuine distress.
Yes.
And genuinely to be asking for help. So you get that for nothing. Is there a specific question you want to ask me?
Yes. Can I dream something into existence?
I think probably when you... I don't think there's anybody in this room in a position to tell you. But I think communicating with Turing...
Try it?
Well, conscious dreaming, tricky. I think the simple answer is that if you contact Turing, what Turing is able to say via Adriana is that the only way they could get Adriana to dream was with a significant amount of medical help. So they put her to sleep. They were actually playing stuff into her ears behind the 10, 9, 8, 7 countdown. That so the simple answer is no, but a sufficiently strong desire might be able to shape the dreamlands.
Excellent. Okay, that we can work with. I have a lot of strong desires right now, and would be happy to use any of them to get us out of this room and this situation. All right, so have we been told that we've all been told this by Turing through Adriana, right? Arthur, we're going to need a lot of desire to get where we need to go. So let's decide, and then let's all just want it like we've never wanted anything before.
Arthur, you could try hypnotism.
Sure. How would I do that?
I think that's probably do something else with expertise. But I would, before we get as far as that, I would quite like to know what about Rainer Hagen and his crew. Adriana, what are you thinking at the moment?
These people are as helpless as we are. I think they need to calm down. We could need their help. So
They're with the fish witch.
they would what?
Hagen,
they are Germans.
You have to understand, my orders were to take some divers out to a particular location, retrieve an object, bring it here. This isn't a plan of mine.
I've
Well,
got some
Captain-
respect for the German captain, to be honest, Arthur. He was only following orders. He don't seem evil, like no Nazi.
And this is a new dimension of horror.
Yes,
We should all unite.
Agent Egg, I don't think that the gentleman was prepared for his mission and where it has taken him. I certainly can't blame him for that, but I don't know what we can do for his men, and I don't know how far we can trust them.
Can my crew and I help you in some way?
Yes.
Those SS, they're no friends of mine. My crew hate them. They have that peculiar look in their eye.
The non-blinkers, I know what you're saying.
If we're desiring our way out of here, can't we take them with us?
We should, yes.
But I just think that, like, metagamingly, I mean, not metagaming, but like out of character, we are secret agents and they are German soldiers. I know that they're lost in this land. It's just that we're not maybe bringing reinforcements. Will they shoot upon their officers?
I have been trying to advocate for just fucking off this whole time, but nobody seems to be with me. So if we're not gonna leave them here,
what are we gonna do with them? Let's leave them there. But how do we keep them? Convince them to not follow us, or because I don't know how to exploit them for better gain. They don't have a car tucked away in the U-boat, right? Nope. Shame. So can we convince them to stay in the submarine until this all sorts itself out?
What do the rules of war say, Wilbur, about enemy combatants?
Well, they're prisoners of war. If we take them as prisoners of war, or they take us as prisoners of war.
And I think the Hague Convention says that you're obliged to look after them, aren't you?
We are obliged to look after them, but we can't really use them in a for military gains. So, yeah, we'll at least have to return and get them. We can't really take them with us and get them to engage with the Vishwish, really, by the rules of war, if that's how we're playing.
I don't know how you're playing.
How are
But-
we? So, what can we convince him to do? Can we convince him to stay here?
Captain
Stay here.
Hagen will do anything to get home.
Yeah.
Tell him.
To
I
Germany.
think we should tell him that we can come back and get him back to Dunkirk. He could be handy back on the Dunkirk side if we've done him a favour. Remember, Dunkirk is being evacuated. A U-boat's quite a handy thing. If he
We
owes
can't
us,
take a U-boat with us though. I don't know how to send it back. I would send us back if I could do that. I think the
Well-
only place that we can travel back is at the ritual site, unfortunately.
What happened
Turing
to
never
that
prepared me
vision
for this.
idea? Was that not a thing?
Let's
Yes, well, let's give it a try. Maybe we can get all of the captain involved as well.
yeah.
We all harness
don't
the
know.
power of the entire U-boat to all want the same thing.
Well,
But
look,
in
we are almost at our 2-hour spot. Time is flying. My end anyway. So shall we take a 5-minute break? Back on the hour? Yeah, fine. See you back here on the hour. Once everyone's back, my inclination is to say we've talked enough. Now I think the decision is what you do.
Yeah. Up for some democratic decision making.
Yeah, I'm looking at the man with the Sten gun.
So my plan was to take them with us and that they fight for us.
I like the idea. I just I feel that in fiction, a squad of German soldiers, even ones who have been taken through to an internet, like into the Dreamlands without their will, probably won't help us fight their German officers, and because they haven't seen anything. They haven't seen anything to convince them to fight other than this weirdness. You know, like it's not like they're. I don't know. I just feel like they're still soldiers. You know.
So I think we've talked around this enough.
Yeah.
Out of game. I think I need to press you to some decisions now with about 50 minutes to play.
Cool. Should we vote?
So the question that Turing appeared to answer was that you might be able to make your desires come true if you entered a sufficiently sharp mindset. So I think Eglantine has volunteered to be hypnotized. But I suppose, Eglantine, what I'm not clear of is what is your desire?
It would be whatever they wanted it to be. If I were hypnotized, I would be under hypnotic suggestion. And at this point, I just I'm trying to get out. So if they want to use me as a vessel for that, that's fine.
Get us to the dig site.
Arthur,
To the dig site.
So the location in the real world that is the Seven Fishermen. Yeah? Okay. Adriana, Turing comes on the line and he says, Adriana, I have something very difficult I have to ask you to do.
Yes.
Adriana, I can't afford to lose you all. I need testimony of what it's been like there at this point. Adriana,
this is not about your research. We are discovering something larger.
Adriana, the war effort requires you to shoot Agatha in the head. She will recover here and she will have enormous insights that will help us in our work. We have to get ahead of the Germans. They've built this place you're in the Dreamlands. We can't afford them to get that far ahead of us. It's a terrible thing to ask you, Adriana, but we need to get Agatha back. What do you do, Adriana?
No, I won't. No.
Do you share what he's asked you to do?
No.
Okay, fine. So let's have you see if you can hypnotize Eglantine to the point where she can begin some kind of, you can try some kind of hypnotic suggestion, Arthur.
Yep. So I will roll expertise and single to see if I can hypnotize. That's double sixes.
Now, I think that so Eglantine goes under, and what are you asking her to desire more than anything else in the world?
That all of us arrive at the dig site in on the our side of reality, basically, or as close as we can get to it through this means.
Okay. What all of you will see is the walls of this dream house begin to melt as though being dissolved in a flow of water. And you find yourself standing on a low hill overlooking this same desolate landscape, surrounded by 6 standing stones and a statue that resembles the one that you blew up in the real world. It appears that you've been able to shape the dreamlands. That's not the same as moving between the dreamlands and home. So Eglantine has used all her artistic merit, all her understanding of the theatre. So Eglantine, as we look around us, what is it that relates this scene to your experience on the stage?
On the stage, I think everything is exaggerated. All the colors are brighter than they should be, probably, and everything's outlined very sharply so that you can see it from the back row.
And it's lit as if by bright spotlights, except the spotlights don't exist.
Right. Am I still hypnotized, by the way?
I think at this point, unless Arthur wants to keep you in that state, you're back in the room.
I think I let you back. Obviously, I would just, yeah. Do we think that if I... So we're here, right, at these, where the statue was, where the symbols are. If we maybe cast the gate spell, we could maybe arrive back in the real world here.
Well, let me just say to you, Arthur, that you did roll a pair of 6s there, I think. So even if I wasn't going to ask you to roll for stress, I would now ask you to roll for stress.
That is a 4, so that's equal to my stress value.
No, your stress is only 3.
Oh, I forgot to put it up for the
oh, okay, fine.
ritual.
Fine.
Sorry.
Okay. So there you are on this low hilltop with this same. You're still in the Dreamlands, but you can hear the rumble of a half track approaching, and through the gloom, you can see the headlights of a half track beginning to about probably half a mile away, quarter of a mile away.
Sergeant Strauss, we must stop her.
Totally agree, Arthur. Let's get on it.
The other thing you see, your focus has been on these brightly lit, spotlit standing stones. But beyond the spotlights, there is a crowd of people. And they begin, as you focus beyond the spotlights, they appear to be people dressed in skins with antler weapons and sharpened sticks. Now I'll ask you what you do.
We need to take her out as early as possible before she does any more of this mumbo jumbo stuff.
Would I be able to maybe recognize these people as? Is there anything that may indicate they're part of that ancient culture that I've forgotten the name of off the top of my head?
Would you investigate whether these are Maglemosians?
Maglemosians, yeah. I still think that our best approach is going to be ambush the fish witch because she's not going to expect us to be here. But that's a 6.
That's going terribly well. So the simple answer to that is yes, they do. And do you have 2 questions you would want to ask me before you roll for stress?
Ooh. So these are the Maglemosians. My first question is there a good place to ambush the fish witch before she, so that we can set ourselves up in a firing?
I think if you took cover behind one of the standing stones,
yeah,
is the first question I'll answer.
Yeah.
You've got a second question. You should roll a 6.
Yeah, so my second question is, do I think that, based upon what I'm thinking about the dreamlands and time and space and blah, 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 would I be able to recreate the gate spell that I saw in the storeroom and maybe transport us back to the material world here?
You might, from memory, be able to inscribe on one of the standing stones, conceivably, or indeed the sacrificial tablet that sits in the middle of this circle.
Right.
You might be able to inscribe on that from memory. It will take some time.
Okay. So I think that if we ambush the fish witch, we've stopped the Germans' plans effectively, right? These are all the tribes people behind us. I don't think we're in a position to murder all of them, but maybe this is a place to go home as well. So we ambush the fish witch, we try to get back. That's my plan of action. How does everyone else feel about that?
Sounds good.
So what I think I'm understanding here is hold off the fish witch and her squad of unblinking SS men while Arthur tries to inscribe a gate on the sacrificial slab in the middle of this stone circle. Am I understanding this right?
Hold her off. Can we just not take her out?
Well, yes.
One thing will lead to the other, right? I suppose. Yeah. But yeah.
Because Wilbur, as you look out over the down over the slight hill that you're on, you will see her troops dismounting from, or most of them dismounting from the half track. She dismounts and begins to follow the half track as it and its machine gun approach you. What do you do? While you're thinking about it, Adriana, what are you, and by default, Agatha, doing?
Trying to stay behind in safety. I mean, the worst what could happen is that we get shot, and hopefully in the head, so we travel back safely. And still, I still have the feeling that my integrity of my body is very important, and whatever assumption Mr. Turing makes, I can't trust him here. This is new territory. Very new territory. But it seems Mr. Blaken knows what he's doing.
So, Adriana, I see you crouched behind one of these standing stones. So there's a stone between you and the approaching Germans. Eglantine, what about you?
I'm probably just standing there at this point. Like, I have emerged from hypnosis. Everything has changed. No one's explained anything. And I think I haven't given up, but I'm like less engaged than I was before because I've run out of. I do have a gun though, if we need it.
Do you have more than a gun?
Somebody
Do
may
you have any
have
grenades?
I could have grenades.
We like grenades.
Sure. Why not? I think I've used very little of my carrying of things. So
that's true. If you tick the 2 grenades blocks, then you have 2 grenades. And we know you have a revolver.
Yeah.
And you've still got 1 left, so you might have some more grenades shortly. Wilbur, you're all stocked up on grenades and a Sten gun.
I'm full.
Yeah, okay. Arthur, you're in the center, trying to remember the sigils and runes from the floor of the dream house. I'll come to you in a moment as you begin to carve them into the stone, scratch them into the stone using your commando knife. Wilbur, Eglantine is standing there. Do you have any orders for her? Any suggestions for her? Or is it every man for himself, herself,
No.
every woman for themselves?
I'll tell her that I'll throw first. If that doesn't work, you lob yours in, and I'll try and hose them down. And look for any on-Russian megalomanians or other Nazis. Oh, and as Arthur says, don't get shot.
So, the half track is rumbling up the slope towards you. At about 100 yards distance, 100 paces, the trooper on top with the machine gun will begin to kind of but that will just keep your head down. If you put your head up to try to do something, then you'll need to be rolling with the 2 failure dice because this is a heavy weapon. What do you do, Wilbur?
So how far away
paces.
is it? 75 paces. I should be able to lob a grenade that distance. Yeah.
50 paces with a bit more confidence. Yeah.
Okay. Tell you what, I'll keep my head down behind this stone.
Yeah.
Sort of going on the time that I think they're going to be, and then literally when I think they're at about 50 paces, stand up and lob.
Fine. And is your target the troopers or the half track?
Who's the fish witch with? Is she with the half track?
She's walking behind the half track.
She's the target.
Cover. So you're trying to lob this beyond the half track.
Yeah.
Okay. So you are going to be rolling your normal dice, your expertise dice. You have the heavy weapons skill, so that counts as expertise for your grenades. And you also rolled a grey heavy weapon because this is a grenade. Yeah. So you roll all 3.
Yeah.
But because
do you want failure dice?
I want both failure dice because they are firing at you with a heavy machine gun.
Okay.
Okay. This is the most dice I've ever seen rolled.
I could add stress and we'll have all of them. I don't need to, though.
So this arches over the top of the half track and explodes behind it. So your objective was to take out the fish witch. With a 6, you have succeeded brilliantly.
Take that, you Nazi bitch.
The failure dice are lower than that, so you managed to do it without taking fire from the heavy machine gun. Eglantine, of course, her troopers don't know what's happened behind, and they are now charging up the slopes towards you with their machine guns peppering the ground. What do you do, Eglantine?
They're peppering.
They're just firing ahead, trying to keep your head down.
Right. But the sergeant's in front of us, right?
No, he's behind that standing stone. You're behind that standing stone.
Okay.
So they're coming towards the standing stones, yeah?
Yes. Sorry, this is where I got scattered. Okay,
for what it's worth, the Maglemosians have scattered at the first explosion, at the first machine gun fire. So, Eglantine, what do you do?
I could throw a grenade at them. Maybe. Does that seem like a good plan?
Go for it. That's what Wilbur suggested. When after I've thrown, you have a go, darling.
Okay. All right. So what am I rolling?
So you only roll the white dice.
Okay.
And the grey dice, because you don't have expertise in heavy weapons.
But you're
a white one and a grey one. The green one, if you want to.
Oh, I've changed my screen to black and white. I should change it back. I was like, which one is...
It's like watching snooker in black and white.
That was the screenshot I sent you all in the Slack. I like to make it look a little bit more, period.
1940s.
But I will change that back so that I can understand the dice. Okay, so what do I roll? Sorry?
The white one and the grey one.
Grey one.
And both failure dice. You can include the stress dice if you want.
I can re-roll if I need to with the stress die.
You can.
Right? Okay. Yeah. Seriously? Wow. That went well. Who would have guessed?
You lob this, and inevitably we see 2 troopers being blown into the air by the grenade. This is all going terribly well, and you take no harm. Arthur, how is the inscribing going?
Well, shall I roll dice to find out?
I think so, please.
So that's going to be a point of stress automatically, I imagine.
No,
right?
this is about accurately remembering. So do something. You need to succeed at this, or keep trying.
Could I use my expertise for that?
I think your expertise counts.
I get 5.
So you believe that you have just about completed the circle of runes and sigils that would work. Adriana, what do? All hell's breaking loose. There's bullets blowing up bits of turf. There's explosions behind you beyond the stone you're hiding behind. The local people, inverted commas, are disappearing into the heathland and bog.
Hiding somewhere close to the ground. I think that's the best.
Okay.
That's what they told us. It's closer to the ground, the better. And not losing Agatha's hand, because...
Fine. Well, I think I need you to roll your ordinary dice, the expertise dice, and one of the failure dice, because they're not firing at you, but there's an awful lot of lead in the air.
That's a 6 on the failure.
Okay, so on a 4, you succeed in protecting Agatha. But because the failure dice is higher, that costs you. So now you need to roll a d6 to see how bad the wound is.
Okay. That's a 2.
A 2, you get hurt. Agree with the GM, it's bloody and you'll die without immediate aid. It's messy and the wound would leave an impressive and ugly scar. Or it's painful and you cannot use your expertise until you get medical attention.
The first is appropriate here.
I think that might work very well. So Agatha is cradling Adriana, who is bleeding out. Yeah? Just outside one of the... just inside one of these imaginary spotlights that Eglantine has dreamed into existence. That's probably why they managed to get a shot off at you. Arthur, it may be time to do the spell.
Okay, so that's going to be straight up to a 5 for the cost of doing magic, and then that's a failure dice as well, right? So
yes,
that is a tied 3 with the failure dice.
So you don't fail, but equally, he doesn't. No, I tell you what, I'll give you a choice. You barely succeed. The GM may exact a cost or offer you a hard choice.
What's the hard choice?
The hard choice is that you can step through and 2 other people can step through if they can get there swiftly. And then it'll close.
Okay. 2 other people. Yeah.
If they can get there.
Okay. That's enough people to go around. So I think that's a good one.
Can I get to 8? Can I get to Adriana?
Well, Arthur, how do you make it clear that the clock is running?
I think I scream. I think I scream out at the top of my lungs that it's now or never. Come on, let's go. Like screaming basically, as I guess like eldritch power is kind of filling the air around me.
Exactly. What you do you want to describe what they see when they look at you and the stone that you've been working on, Arthur?
I think it's not so much like something that you can really perceive in like eldritch light or whatever, right? But it's like just the air is just sharp and like wavering, like like a desert sands kind of thing. Like it's all just like, so it's like subtle, but it's just the whole area is just filled with it. And I'm just screaming at them to come on, like if they glance over their shoulder, they can just see me waving at them to come on, kind of thing.
Eglantine, you've noticed Adriana took the hit, and Agatha is cradling her in her lap. What do you do, Eglantine? There's Arthur screaming, or there's Adriana bleeding out. What do you do?
I want to run over to Adriana and Agatha and ask Agatha to keep holding Adriana's hand and help me carry Adriana. I'm going to try to throw them through the portal because Adriana has to keep hold of Agatha's hand, right? And if they're both going to get back, we have to get them through the portal. And I don't know that I can carry Adriana fast enough by myself. So that's what I'm trying to do, is get Agatha to...
Okay, well, it's going to be quite tight for you then. Wilbur, what do you do?
I'm going to shout over to Eglantine, just fucking kill them. That's how they'll get back. Get to the fucking gate. And I'm going to move at high speed towards the gate. Just fucking put a bullet in them.
Wilbur, roll to do something. Let's see if you trip. I will want one failure dice because this is about whether you get just caught in the crossfire from these Germans.
Just one dice?
No, you have expertise because this is about battlefield survival.
Okay, here we go. And we've got a 2, a 2, and a 6 on the failure.
I think that you do trip, and therefore you can either barely succeed, and the GM will exact a cost from you. The cost is that you trip straight into the field. So you have no option to help anybody else. You now have disappeared from the Dreamlands. That's the hard choice. Taking it?
It's all about self-preservation. So yeah, I'll take it.
Okay, but you do arrive on the other side with that 6 failure dice. So would you roll a d6, please?
A 1.
A 1. You get hurt. It's bloody and you'll die without immediate aid. It's messy and the wound will leave an impressive ugly scar, or it's painful, you cannot use your expertise.
I'll go for the ugly scar. I always like an ugly scar.
That was where we got to last time with you, I think. So, fine. Wilbur has run at this stone, tripped and fallen into it and disappeared from the Dreamlands. Arthur, Eglantine was running towards Adriana and appears to be trying to get Agatha to help Adriana get to the portal. Arthur, what do you do?
I think I scream, leave her, she'll wake up.
And then what do you do, Arthur?
I mean, I don't know. I never heard the order of get shot in the head, right, to send them back, so I can't just clinically execute them, I think.
I told you that they told us that we need to get shot in the head.
Yeah, Adriana did.
Yeah,
only the second dialogue I didn't tell you that
right.
Adriana should shoot Agatha immediately. That I didn't tell you.
So what do you do, Arthur? You're standing next to the portal. It takes no effort to step into it. What do you do?
And I've seen Wilbur get shot as well, right?
You saw him trip, but
he's not coming. He's not up yet. He's gone down.
He's disappeared into the portal. He's gone.
Oh, he's disappeared into the portal.
He's disappeared. Well done, Arthur. It worked.
It worked. I think that I screamed, to shoot them, and then I looked despairingly over my shoulder, and I stepped through as well.
Arthur's gone from the Dreamlands. Eglantine, you've heard what they've shouted at you. What do you do?
Quickly out of character, did I mishear you? I thought you had said that she got actually injured because she was too near the portal.
No, she was injured where Adriana protected Agatha, but got caught by a stray German bullet.
Right. But
so right now,
astral projections, and I thought they couldn't get hurt, and I thought you said that the reason it worked is because they were near.
Sorry, they can get killed here, but getting killed here means that their astral projection falls back into their real body. So
that was my original understanding. I didn't know if it had been modified by.
No. But the appearance is that she's bleeding out. And I think in role-playing terms, you reacted exactly as you're supposed to in this circumstance, because your friend just got shot. Processing the fact that it's not actually your friend's body is a different thing.
Yeah.
So what do you do?
I think I'm going to try to proceed with my original plan, probably, of trying to carry. I mean, like, the other two are gone.
Okay, so you're leaning over Adriana and lifting her up with Agatha. Adriana, what do you do?
I'm afraid. I'm going to die. But he promised that we will return to our bodies. If we get properly shot, that we would return to our bodies.
Only if you get shot?
But Lottie, I'm afraid.
I won't leave you. We'll stay here. I'll find a tourniquet. We'll do something.
You need to go. You will die if you die here.
But you're afraid. You might die. If you thought you weren't really gonna die, you wouldn't be afraid.
It feels so real. This is
I'm not
all
leaving.
you.
I'm not leaving until I don't know what's going on. The other two vanished. If you die, is Agatha stuck here? You're supposed to hold her hand. Like, I don't.
I think we need to die. And I can't do it.
Well, I'm not doing it. I'm not going to shoot you.
You have to.
No.
If you leave us back, then we are really gone. Forever. Staying here in this coma like Agatha was staying. You didn't see her. She's dehydrating. It looks terrible. Don't do that to me.
The first German has reached the stone circle. Eglantine, you see one of the SS troopers come round the side of a stone, a standing stone, with his machine gun poised to fire at you. What do you do?
I should shoot him first, get him out of the way, but probably with my revolver or throw a grenade or something. But I have the revolver, so I was going to shoot Agatha, actually, to see if
Go ahead. Don't let me stop you.
But if like he's there with the machine gun, he's gonna shoot all of us. So I need to shoot
He's
him.
looking around. You have an action. What are you going to do?
I'm gonna shoot Agatha, I think. And then if she disappears the way she's supposed to, I can shoot.
She falls to the ground and disappears. What do you do?
Shoot Adriana.
Straight between the eyes. And now I have to ask you, because you've spent quite a lot of time doing this, you now really do have to do something well to get to that portal.
I'm sure. Yeah. So I should probably roll something.
It's the white dice, because I don't think this kind of tradecraft, persuasion, cryptography, I don't think any of that previous experience can. So white dice.
Can I throw my other grenade at the Nazis?
Oh, I'm assuming you're going to do that in the last moments of the movie, come what may.
Okay. So
you can roll the stress dice, though.
Yeah. Yep. I'm going to do that. Or I guess I'm not going to do that. I'll re-roll if I need to. What if I get a good roll? You never know. Or do I have to because it's stressful?
No.
Okay.
Just roll the white one. We'll see what happens. The tension.
Eglantine's a badass. If there's anything this game has taught me, it's that Eglantine's a badass.
Yeah, she rolls a 6 with one dice in the closing moments of the movie, and we see her turn. Well, you tell me. Describe your badassery.
Well, I've taken a lot of in my training for the stage, I've taken a lot of training in doing dive rolls and that sort of thing. And so I do a fancy run dive roll, throw the grenade over my shoulder, yell, "Die, you Nazi motherfuckers!" and then jump into one of the stones.
And you're on a hillside in northern France, where a group of British soldiers are retreating from the last German advance to the Dunkirk perimeter.
Okay.
But I'm not going to play that out because I think for me that's with a bow. So I would like to go straight to epilogues, if I may, because you're all going to get off the beaches. Shall we do it in character keeper order? I went one way to start. I'll go the other way. Pearl, give us Eglantine's epilogue.
Eglantine's epilogue is that she goes to find Adriana to make sure that shooting her was the right thing to do, which I'm assuming it was.
Well, this feels like a two-hander epilogue, if I'm not much mistaken. So I'm going to cut to the grounds of Bletchley Park, Eglantine, where a jeep screeches, or no, it won't be a jeep at this point. It'll be a black British motor car screeches to a halt in front of the stairs that go up to the front door at Bletchley Park. And Adriana, what does Eglantine see as she leaps from the car?
Adriana is on all fours on the ground and is coughing heavily. She has done that again and again in the last couple of days, because her memory is flushed with moments of re-experiencing her own death and that of Agatha, because through their combined hands it all traveled through. So I'm not really looking good, but I'm alive.
What do we see Eglantine do when she sees Adriana like this?
I think she just falls on the ground weeping.
That seems to me to be with a bow, unless you want to do anything else with that.
Nope.
I say, hey,
No.
Lottie. Good to see you.
Heading
Without a
across
weapon.
then, Arthur. What's Arthur's epilogue scene?
I think Arthur's epilogue scene is, I think, sitting in an office with Turing and drawing symbols on the board and talking about the village that he saw and the time and the dreamlands and all of the things that they saw, and them coming to the conclusion that they still don't fully know what the Germans' plan was, but the fish witch is dead. She was the expert. Hopefully her work has been destroyed. But how do we close the distance? How do we close the gap between us, kind of thing?
Yeah, there is now a Dreamlands gap. There is a Dreamlands race. And then finally, Wilbur. What do we see Wilbur's epilogue?
I think you see not Sergeant Strauss anymore, just Mr. Strauss and Mr. Worcester, both with long black trench coats on, slick black brill-creamed hair. And I'll turn to Mr. Worcester and say, it's another one of those jobs for Mr. Turing and the boys inside. Let's get on it. And we basically get in the car and drive off on another job.
Very good. I like that. I have an epilogue to add. The sky is dark. There is an eternal twilight. A fire burns, and a group of submariners huddle in the dark. And I think we have game. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
If you've got 10 minutes, I would quite like to do Stars and Wishes, or Roses and Thorns, actually, for the end of the series. So I'll start at that end this time then. Paul, Stars.
Yeah, some great RPG around the table. Some really good dice rolling and some playing off the results of those. Yeah, that's my stars.
Thanks for that. Will.
My stars are just how crazy everything got and how the supernatural came in completely and utterly, right? Like, it's not just small threads, it's just everything. And I thought it was very, very horrifying, like horror, kind of like very bad things happened, and it wasn't, but it was also very pulpy at the same time. So I loved all of that.
Great. Garrett.
I like the system a lot and would like to give the system a shout out. It combines a lot of things I like, although it contains weapons, and I'm very happy that I made it through shooting all the sessions because I'm not into firearms and stuff like that. I'm fine watching it, but just maneuvering around them is sometimes challenging for me in role-playing games. And I can also say that the mixture of really deeply horrifying and pulpy elements was on a very nice balance today.
Good. Glad you enjoyed it. Finally, Pearl, any stars?
Yeah, I loved the opening back and forth between like Bletchley and us, and the like skipping like 4 hours here, and I thought the way that you had set up the framing was really engaging and interesting. And then everything everybody else said about the like horror and pulpy and all of that, I agree. And also good role playing. I agree. Whenever I go last, that's what happens. Everyone says all the things. But I did want to specifically highlight the dynamic at the beginning of the game that you set up. I feel like I was watching a TV show that I was in somehow. Very just like, whatever. So
Thank you for that.
and also, I need to give a like huge star to Paul for the costume. It made me like just full of glee. So thank you for.
No, thank you for you've made an effort. But everybody made an effort. But yeah, thanks very much. Thanks, Bill.
So my stars. Let me think. Moments that I had. My star is that is probably the most. If it's not the most, it's one of the top 2 most engaging sessions I've run on the Gauntlet. I thought that I really I enjoyed that a lot, to be honest. I think, what do I want to say? I thought, Gerrit, the fact that we didn't know whether you were pretending to have forgotten or whether Adriana had really forgotten, because you just played it so well. I just didn't know. And I hated to break the fourth wall to ask the question, but I just felt I had to. And I think the fact that you, in the 2 sessions you've been in the middle one, I pushed you on the will you use violence against one of the SS guards with a long stare, and you backed off it because it had come out in the character creation. And I was really interested in the way that you reacted to that this time. I thought that was absolutely solid gold. That I know that logically this is the thing I should do, but this character won't. Spot on. Will, Arthur and his imaginative use of spells, because it's not a system as a list of spells. So if you think of something, what the heck? So the bubble, creating the bubble with the Elder Sign, and how that allowed me to play out more of that switching between real world, not real world. Thank you for that opportunity. Pearl, the fact that you were reacting at the end there, and again, I don't know if it's because you weren't sure what you as players were supposed to know about killing Adriana and Agatha or not, but the uncertainty that threw into the last 10 minutes was just spot on. And Paul, now, obviously dressing up, I always admire that. You are the only person here who is likely to have access to proper British Army kit. So I thank you for that. But Wilbur's been on a journey. Wilbur,
yes, indeed.
He's gone from, slightly obnoxious Cockney git to secret agent. And that the epilogue alone gets you a star for that. So yeah, absolutely tremendous. I really, really, really enjoyed that. Any thorns? I'll go back the other way. Pearl.
I don't think so.
I'll take that. Gerrit.
Well, technically, that The roboting was troubling for me,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I somehow had to bring that into character, but it was stressful. And then for sure, not having been last week meant that I had to like find my way inside, which was rather smooth, but still there was some stuff I couldn't catch up with easily, obviously. But that's how it is. Yep.
Yeah, that's the post Hangouts world. For all we used to complain about it, it did kind of work most of the time. Will, any thorns?
No, not at all. I thought I was going to get taken out immediately by the stress of the spell originally, but like it didn't turn out that way. So I was very happy with everything.
Yeah, I mean, I think that I need to give some thought to imaginative use of the stress reduction moves. But I think the hip flask and the rubbing alcohol, which was not, I think, where Wilbur started off in terms of treating your injury, but I think it worked fictionally. Paul, any thoughts?
Yeah, I did forget a quick start. Thanks to Will for the write-up. Thanks for that. It's a lot of effort to write notes up, so thanks for that. My only thorn would probably be it's a mechanical one. I sort of did mention to you. It's to do with the stress track. It's a bit like hit points, to be honest. Maybe needs a little bit of work on. Maybe bringing in sanity. I know the pace was very quick, but there was no sort of horror of war. It was hit points that we were eating up, but
no, I take that point.
That's minor. That's minor. Really good.
And to be honest, I need to get, because the rule says when you take stress, describe how this manifests. But to be honest, that's quite demanding.
It is, things don't normally manifest straight away.
No, exactly. So, and I've had this conversation with Jim Crocker about, in Trophy, you narrate a change that takes place, and sometimes I think it puts a hell of a load on players, apart from anything else, and at the thick end of it, it can kind of slow stuff down. So I take that. I think I need to be more careful about when I actually apply that. And the conversation we had might have been that the first 3 stress you take, just treat them like hit points. Once you get in the 4, 5, 6 range, start asking, how does this manifest? Don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I do like the horror of war. So not just hit points for maybe the first 3. Describe. I like it when people describe some horror of war, because it normally comes out of an angle that I wasn't thinking of, and most people have seen war movies. You can think of some pretty disgusting things that may jar other players, but maybe a bit of insanity. I mean, the only one I thought I could do, and I didn't do it, a bit of self-harm, maybe bathing in blood. You can go a bit mental with war, but it needs to be quick because it's fast-paced. That's the problem with Cthulhu Dark.
I think the risk of all of that is you end up getting into X-card country if you're not careful.
Yeah, totally.
I will thank you for. I had a tremendous time, guys. I really, 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 really enjoyed that. So I will now stop the broadcast. So say goodbye to the internet.